Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl, BD.
It's your girl, Fourens, the fiance.
And we are back.
We back. I think I should just tell the people. So, yesterday, I put my laptop on my glasses and they broke.
So is that how it happened?
Yeah, don't I tell you how it happened?
No, you just said they broke.
No. So, I saw the laptop fell on the glasses and they bent. And I was like, okay, I'll just bend them back. And then they snapped.
Oh, sis.
Yeah.
Did you heat it up at least before you bent it?
No, I just bent it.
Right, and hence why it snapped. But okay.
But it was metal. It's the Oh god.
No, your frames are plastic.
Yeah, but the bit that snapped was the metal bit that connects.
Yeah, the hinge.
It snapped.
Yeah, but if you had warmed up the plastic, then it might have been a bit more malleable, and you may have been able to bend it back into shape rather than.
But it wasn't the bendation.
The hinge
was at the hinge.
The bendation.
It was at the hinge.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So, and you don't be telling me enough shit about how to maintain my glasses, guys.
And also, you don't be asking me enough shit. You don't be asking me, how many times did I tell you this girl had to get referred? Yeah, and I had to be on her nuts to be like, have you been referred? Have you been referred? Oh yeah, I'll do it later. Oh yeah, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I'm not.
A bitch is busy. The least you can do is manage.
Okay, we be busy when you're blind. We be busy.
That's the one thing. If that's the one thing you do in my life, let it be. Manage my eyesight, okay? What the fuck is the point of having an optometrist friend?
Girl, bye.
You know,
God only helps those who help themselves.
But yeah, guys, so I snapped my glasses. And then, I just, at first I was like, okay, I'm just going to do up Stevie Wonder because I've got a lot of eye problems, so my eyes are really bad. And then, that wasn't working, so I got a migraine. So I was like, okay, cool, one of the arms is broken. So I'm going to do, that meme. I don't know if you saw the meme I posted of Jamie Foxx in that movie where his glasses are all
his
bent
glasses
up.
are askew.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to wear it, askew for the whole day, which I did. But then it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense because you have astigmatism as well. So before you're looking through, it's not even what you're supposed to be looking through. If you're amending the axis.
No wonder the vision wasn't clear.
Of course it wasn't.
So
I'm
literally,
done.
I just was like, okay, fuck it. I'm not looking at the computer anymore. I took it off. And I have a migraine now again. So, yeah, I might not be as chipper as usual. I'm trying my best here.
Also, the subject matter is quite sad, so I think that goes very well with what we're about to discuss.
Literally, my notes are on font 24.
Lord help us.
Lord have mercy.
Lord hear us. Lord
Jesus be laser
us.
eye surgery. For goodness sake.
Lord, you need more than that.
Oh God, be an eye transplant.
So this documentary is
Same sister that suggested it. It's the same sister.
Okay, so one she's 1-1. She's one win, one loss.
Yeah. She kept saying she could see this woman in her mind's eye when she'd close her eye.
You know, it's so funny because when I watch these scary stories and stuff like that, I watch it and I'm done. I don't think about them ever again.
Really? So why are you so afraid of horror and stuff?
Because with horror, I feel like it penetrates the mind a bit more deeply. That's about me being killed. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I hear
but horror
in the
movies,
night.
You're seeing people being killed. Horror is just real life murder.
Yeah, but I don't see. Okay, but with the crime stuff, you don't see that bit.
Okay,
it's the aftermath and maybe the before. Cool. It's what led up to and what happened after. It's not the
true.
I don't want all that. Do you know what I mean? That's a lot. Some of us are not psychopaths. So this documentary can be found on BBC Three, and it's called Execution: Lisa Montgomery's Story. So the documentary opens up with shots of a road and snow, and it has that they always have that aerial shot of the water tank in a small town. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very The Pharmacist.
I literally said, I was like, that's how you know it's about to be some fuckery, because we had, I think, similar shots in The Pharmacist and also in I Shot My Parents.
And there was another one as well we did. Oh no, I think it was just those two. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's water tank in Media Death Trial by Trial by Media.
Yeah, exactly, our last episode. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, it's always about to be some fuckery when they start showing the water tanks. So we have this narrator. She's kind of dead, but she does her job adequately, so I'm not even going to get onto her too much. So, and also this documentary is very recent. I think it came out on the 16th of January 2021. It's brand new.
And it was filmed recently as well.
Yeah, it's brand exactly, because they're doing up masks and shit. But it's because, anyway, we'll get there. So we have the narrator telling us it's midwinter 2004. No date, no month, just midwinter. Take that as you will. We hear that Lisa Montgomery, she's driving through western Missouri to a small town called Skidmore, which instantly reminded me of skid marks, but we keep it pushing.
Who did you think of when they said Missouri?
Missouri? Who did you think of?
Lily!
Cam. Oh, little farm boy. Oh, yeah. Oh, babe.
He's from Missouri.
I love Cam. Yeah, I love Cam.
I love Cam. And Montgomery reminded me of Montgomery Burns from Simpsons.
Right, okay. I didn't get anything from that, but
okay.
Yeah. On your own. So Lisa is driving through West Missouri. That's definitely not that accent, but whatever. And she has a rope and a knife in her jacket pocket. So now you're thinking, right, so some shit is about to go down.
Yeah, she's
Side note, did you see that video of that random white woman who... Basically, in the video, there's a mum, a dad, a little boy and a little girl. And the mum's with the little boy, the dad's with the little girl a little bit behind, walking into, I don't know, maybe it's like a supermarket or something. And this random white woman appears on frame, walking in the opposite direction, like towards them. She passes the little boy and then like, she kind of like, I thought was like slapping him in the face randomly. And then walks away and then comes back and then slaps the little girl. I thought. And then the dad kind of like goes after her and then like retreats. And I was like, wow, this pussy, yeah. And then I watched it again and I realized she had a knife in her hand. And she had a knife in her hand. Yeah, like slashed his face and tries to do the same thing to the other girl. Because I didn't even realize that happened at the time. But then I was like looking through the replies and someone put like a screenshot from the article. And the boy had to go to the hospital and was like treated for like wounds to his face. Just out of nowhere. Just imagine you're like walking into Asda. I would have to kill her. Like I would be actually, because the dad runs after her, and then like she like sort of brings the knife out, and you can see that it's a knife. But the whole time, the first time I watched it, I didn't clock that she had a knife. You're just walking with your child, and someone just comes. It's so wild. It's so wild.
I think if I have kids, I just have to bubble wrap them, leave them in the house,
in a room. Yeah.
Until they're like 21,
and it has to be on the ground floor just so they can't jump anywhere or hurt anything.
In a cushion padded room. And then it's like, okay, you're 21, now you can leave.
Yeah, maybe even soundproof so they can't hear any sad things. Yeah, honestly. Because I'll send it to you. I watched it and I was like, what?
I would have to kill her.
Unprovoked. You have to.
You have to kill her because you have to.
And I don't even know. I mean, obviously the mum was trying to hold on to the kids and stuff, but like you have to tag team that bitch because...
No, but the thing is that, jokes aside, you have to beat her ass. Like
you have to.
You have to beat her.
As in for the sake of all the other children that she could possibly do this to.
No, you have to beat her. You have to beat her.
You have to.
You have to beat her. I'm even
the kids I don't have. My kids. I'm mad. Yeah. It's wild.
Hey, you have to kill her. No, you have to beat her. You have to beat her.
You have to. It's wild.
Nah. Yeah.
Wild.
I go to hell and back for my kids.
Fam. Especially with everything I've heard that people go through during childbirth. I'm so sorry.
Nah.
Don't even shout at my child. Don't even.
Don't even look sideways at my kid.
Fam. Don't even blink. Literally. Don't do that.
If my kid makes you food from the garden, you better eat that shit and tell them it's nice.
So Lisa has a rope and a knife in her jacket pocket, so you know she's up to no good. Okay, so she's on her way to see a 23-year-old woman called Bobby Jo Stinnett, which I think is such a Missouri sounding name.
Yeah.
And Bobby Jo Stinnett is a dog breeder. So Lisa's going there under the guise of, I'm going to go and buy a puppy from her, or like see about a puppy. And the narrator really does spoil it right at the beginning because she tells us that Bobby Jo's pregnant and Lisa has actually come for her unborn child, which is really wild. Literally, and you hear stories like this, not all the time, but like you've heard stories like this before. Do you know what I mean? So next we hear a 911 call and it's Bobby Jo's mum. I'm assuming it's her mum based on her being like, oh, my daughter. And we meet Sheriff Randy Strong. Is it Strong?
I didn't write his name, I can't lie.
It might be Strong. It might also be that it auto-corrected me. But I think his name is Randy Strong of Nottoway. Randy Strong of Nottoway County, Missouri, who is describing the call and the anguish in Bobby Jo's mum's voice and basically saying that he never wants to hear that kind of thing again. Like it was really sad hearing that call. And then the narrator tells us that Lisa strangled Bobby Jo. And then the narrator says that she took steps to remove her child. And at this point, I'm like, I'm sorry, what were these steps that she took? Like, how? I was thinking maybe she's a midwife and she kind of snapped because she couldn't have kids and she's seeing all these babies every day kind of thing. Because no random person just removes a child from the womb of the person they just killed.
Literally.
And
from
so,
the wombular area.
From the
when
wombular
it
region.
hasn't fully baked. Because Bobby was like, wasn't she 8 months pregnant? She wasn't 9.
I mean, medium rare.
Literally.
Medium. Maybe the baby was medium, actually.
Medium. No, medium rare would be like 6 months.
Yeah, medium by that point. Yeah, that's true. So Sheriff Randy explains that
Lisa told me that she cut the cord, held it between her fingers, put the baby inside her coat, and went out the door and got in her vehicle and drove off.
Just like that. Yeah. So basically, he was like how she cut the umbilical cord and then grabbed the baby. But I'm like, there were so many steps before that point. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't tell us.
Yeah,
I feel like he was just disgusted, like he didn't want to narrate them.
Yeah, because the umbilical cord is not just hanging out. You don't just grab it. Like there's layers of things to get through. But yeah, I can understand that Randy's not really trying to chat about it.
I remember when I was younger, I always used to ask my mum and be like, why is it that like if I'm on a hospital table and you cut me open, I don't die, but if somebody cut me open the same surgical way, I would die? And she was like, you die from the shock.
Yeah, but also I feel like the sterile environment.
Yeah, I mean, but what if everything was sterile? Like, could you operate on someone without
alive
anesthetic? Yeah.
No, I think you die from the pain.
Shock, yeah, that's what she said. So I was always just found that interesting.
Yeah. That cesareans really freaked me out because you're awake, right? Because I was a C-section baby. I wasn't trying to come into this world because I knew what horrors awaited us. And my mum was like, how you're awake and you can like feel, it's kind of like when they do dental work, like you can feel the pressure, or you can like hear the drill, but like you can't feel any pain. So she was like, it was like that, like you can feel them tugging around and trying to like pull something out, but you can't feel, it's not pain, it's just
rattling
weird
around in your...
Yeah, and then she's like, and then you just hear crying and you just see this like ugly thing being brought out from the thing.
I really do want to just push it out my cooch.
I don't know.
I know she'll never be the same, but
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, what cheeky little scar, it's not even that deep. I'm okay, what, you can't drive for 2 weeks? Okay, fine, I don't mind. I shouldn't be driving anyway.
But there's I've heard of a lot of complications, and some people are like...
Yeah, same with vaginal births.
Yeah, I know, but
where is the win? Surrogate, anyway, that's the way forward. She can do what she likes. So we learned just how premeditated this whole thing was. And recently, we did shout out to everyone who was in the room. We did a clubhouse room the other day discussing whether the murders of Chris Watt, if only he was murdered, the murders that Chris Watt committed were premeditated or a crime of passion. I feel like in this case, it's undisputedly premeditated. Yeah. Like she came with syringes, she came with clamps, and she had done lots of research on C-sections on the internet, which is like... This is an audio medium, so you cannot see our faces. But I'm sure if you listen to more than one episode, you can imagine.
Yeah.
The disdain, because it's just like, this is too much. And this is why when they start going on later on about her mental health, I'm like, I'm sorry. Somebody who has trained herself to perform a C-section.
Yeah.
Is not stupid.
She had all the opportunity to be like, hold on, this is crazy. This is crazy.
So Sheriff Randy makes a good point, and I'm really happy that he makes this point.
This is not something of somebody that's, has a mental illness. This was not a spontaneous fit of anger or rage. This was meticulously planned out.
And I'm happy he says this because, in these kind of cases, in loads of cases, the defense loves to drop in with a whole mental illness this, mental illness that, kind of like trying to explain that, like, this is the reason they did this crime. Like the talk show murder, they were saying, oh, he has Graves' disease and he has, And it's like, that might be a contributing factor, but that is not the reason why you did this. Yeah. So thankfully the baby survived. They just dropped that in all willy-nilly. They didn't really delve into it and stuff like that. But the baby survived. I guess that's all we need to know. You know what I mean? Considering the conditions of the birth.
Literally.
So we see pics of Lisa Montgomery, who...
was cute as a kid.
She was cute as a kid. Life did her dirty.
Yeah.
Life did her dirty. And it's really, really sad. So the narrator's saying, is this the face of evil or the face of a broken woman? And as we often say on this podcast, I feel like two things can be true in this situation. We meet her half-sister, Diane.
Who looks normal.
She looks normal, yeah. Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Because Lisa now looks a bit crazed, but
She looks deranged.
Yeah, that's the word. She does look deranged. But then it's like, these are prison pics. Like, I'm sure that...
No, she looked deranged before.
Yeah, it's true. Because I'm trying to think, if Diane was in prison clothes, she would not look deranged.
Yeah.
It's not the clothes, it's the person.
Yeah.
So we hear the traumatic story of when Diane was raped in her bed by some random man. They didn't really go too deeply into this, which, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. But Diane's basically describing that, like, she's 8, Lisa's 4. Their beds are really close. They have bunk beds, but their beds are really close together. Like, if they reach out, they can touch each other's hands. And so she wakes up one night, there's like a random guy in the room. He pulls down his trousers and he rapes her. And she's really terrified because she doesn't want to make noise. She doesn't want Lisa to wake up because she doesn't want the same thing to happen to her.
Yeah.
And it doesn't in this case. It doesn't. But it's just like, who is this random man? Like,
I feel like it was her stepdad.
I think so too. Because I mean,
random man just goes crawling through the...
people do. It could definitely be an intruder, but then also, like, I just feel like, from what we learn later as well, because my first thought was that it probably was an uncle or a cousin or a stepdad or someone in the family.
I thought that as well. I didn't think it was like a random person.
Yeah, exactly. So Diane gets taken to foster care due to parental neglect, but Lisa stays at home, which makes me think, like, isn't it the same parents that are neglecting?
Exactly. That's what I'm wondering. But sometimes you do see cases where, like, one child is completely fine and another one is... But still, they remove both.
If they prefer one kid. Yeah, but you remove, because clearly the parental neglect happens because of the parent.
Yeah.
And that parent is still the same parent in the house.
Yeah, they do usually remove both. But you know, these people are underworked and overpaid.
Overworked and
underpaid. And overworked.
Yeah.
So, you do see cases of this where, like, they...
Yeah, like Gabriel Fernandez.
Yeah.
So Lisa remains at home and she suffers abuse at the hands of her mother. And they give us an example of saying, like, the mum would, like, tape Lisa's mouth shut because she just couldn't bother to hear her and things like that. When
they said that, I was hoping that was the worst of it.
Exactly. I was like, rah, that's wild. But it gets worse. So Lisa, currently, she's been in jail for 16 years. She confesses, like, she basically says that this documentary is not about if she's guilty or not. It's more about it's not really about the case. It's not about whether she's guilty. It's about whether she should be executed, whether it's right for her to be executed or not. And we meet this lady called Toby Dorr, who is friends with Lisa. They met in prison. And Toby tells us that Lisa thinks that she has brain damage, partly because her stepdad would slam her head into the concrete just multiple times by her hair at age 6. Maybe she was 6 or 7. And it's like...
She likely does have brain damage.
How can she not?
That's not even what those footballers go through, the NFL players. And they all have whatever.
With Will Smith and his movie and his shit accent.
Fake accent, man.
So her stepdad, this same stepdad, eventually rapes her, grooms her, and, like, some of this came up in the trial, but she was still sentenced to death, which, I mean, I'm not mad at it, but also it's kind of like, can we really just not consider all these things that you went through? Yeah, can we really, like, dismiss these factors as not,
having some contributing...
just even a little bit, do you know what I mean? A smidge, a tinge. So her story is horrifying, and her childhood, like, it should, like, no person should have to go through what she's gone through. I mean, at the same time, she shouldn't have done what she did, and it's like, even if her brain was damaged, it wasn't so damaged that she wasn't able to perform the C-section. Like, It was intact enough that you could perform a C-section and the baby live. Like, so it's a bit of...
What are you talking about, love?
Comme si, comme ça.
That is not the term.
Sorry to all the French listeners.
This is like when this is when Michael said prima nocta.
I knew you were going to say Michael Scott.
And Jim was like, what was that?
I was watching the episode where he leaves, and they do the song and they're like 9,096,100 minutes or whatever. And then I remember, was it you telling me or my sister telling me? Someone was telling me how he didn't know that song was going to happen on set. Like, it surprised him. So his reaction is real.
Oh, I didn't know that. I need to go back and watch it.
He didn't know that it was going to happen. So it's like, he's still in character because he knows they're filming. Yeah. But his reaction and the tears are, like, real because they had practiced the song before and he didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I remember
everything
being like,
about The Office is
so pure.
Like, It's just my heart, like...
Yeah,
oh,
literally my heart. Literally my heart. In worse news, Lisa was pimped out by her stepdad. If he needed electrical work or needed things done around the house, like he would say, you know, I've got a girl you can sleep with, and he would pimp her out. And the mum as well. Which
but you know what? I just find it weird. Like, what are the odds that so many paedophiles and
people came together,
depraved people all come together? Because it's like, it's one thing for your stepdad to be a paedophile, but then it's a very weird thing. Is it paedophile or pedophile? Which one do you say?
Well, we say paedophile. I think like the Americans, for example, say pedophile.
So then it's another thing for, what are the odds that the guy that does your plumbing and electrics is also a paedophile? Like,
and so this is the thing. I feel like a lot of people are pedophiles by definition. A lot of people, because a pedophile is someone who is sexually attracted to children, and a child is someone who is like 16 and under or 18 and under, depending on where you are. And so there are, by definition, you're attracted to a 15-year-old, you're a grown man, you're a paedophile. But because you're not touching little kids and you're not a little kiddie fiddler or however they call it, you think that you're not a paedophile. But
she was a kid
by
at
definition.
11.
Yeah, but this was happening. Was this happening when she was 11 or when she was a teenager?
Know, to be honest, they didn't say
either way, she was young. Yeah. And so I think because people think that paedophilia is like popes and little boys and little kiddies, people think that they're not paedophiles. A lot of people are paedophiles. I think it's so much more common. A lot of people. If you are attracted to a child being someone 16 and under or 18 and under, depending on where you are.
But isn't it not if you attract... I don't have to put this, but if a girl is 16 and you date her, not knowing, maybe not first knowing she's 16, I wouldn't class you a paedophile as opposed to somebody who categorically seeks out, because that's what I think of when I think of a paedophile.
The predatory behavior. Yeah. I mean, and this is why I feel
as opposed to like the guy who moves to a girl who's 17, has sex with her, not knowing that she's underage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's why there are these grey areas with this, because it's like.
Because I imagine her tied up to the room and looking young, and these men knowing that she's a kid and actively like still seeking to have sex with her.
But then even if she was like 18, even if she was 20,
and we know that a lot of men are rapists.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
So that's a different thing to
there's
paedophiles.
There's a lot of perversion, a lot of sexual perversion.
Yeah,
that isn't deemed as perversion because people just think that it's like, oh, I'm a man, that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Or people not seeing predatory or not addressing predatory behavior as predatory behavior because it's so normalized.
Yeah, and also, guys, can I just say, it's not that I think a guy who is like 20-something sleeping with a 16-year-old is acceptable. I'm just trying to like...
Yeah, no, I don't think it is, but that's why I feel like there's grey areas, because it's like, okay, so for me at 16, I looked 12, right?
Yeah.
But there are 16-year-olds that maybe look older, maybe they look 20. And so me as a 25-year-old, it's like, all right, cool, I thought you were 20. Do you know what I mean? And like me being attracted to you doesn't change now because I know you're 16. Like, I was still attracted to you.
Actively sitting outside of a secondary school,
exactly,
waiting for little girls to come out.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, I think it is a sticky subject, but I do think a lot more people are paedophiles than they think, and because like if we go by definition, a lot of people are paedophiles.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that it's not uncommon to have, because is it not like 1 in 6 people are like have experienced sexual assault, or more than that? Either way, like a lot of people, every woman I know either has or knows someone who has experienced some kind of sexual assault or harassment. And so that means that all those people were harassed or assaulted by men or women, by people. Yeah. And so those people are all, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
they're all depraved. Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, it's really unfortunate for Lisa, because it's like she just had the worst of the worst. Like,
literally,
it was just shit people around her. Yeah, because if one of those plumbers had been like, oh, okay, you're pimping out your daughter to me, this is fucked. Hey, police, ring, this guy has offered his child to me. Who knows how many people he's done this to? All it would have taken is one person, potentially.
Yeah. But in the end, all the plumbers were like, no, I'll take a piece of that. And
exactly. And it's like, are you stupid? Like, say you're going to get $250 for doing a job. You have sex with this girl, and is that going to pay your bills? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't add up, because your bills are still unpaid, and then you're still going to be evicted. But, you got to have sex.
But, you had a nut. Okay, cool. So useless. At this point, Diane says what I think we're all thinking.
I still can't grasp how a mother can say to her child, you have to earn your keep. So you have to have sex with this man so I can get the plumbing done.
Like, what is the meaning of this? Like, what? And this is why, like, again, not everybody should have children. Just because you can, it doesn't mean that you should. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you should. It doesn't. Like, it doesn't.
Tubes.
If they were as strict with people having kids as they are with allowing you to pass your driving test, this world would be a much better place.
A much better place.
Okay, now. Next, we meet Roseanne Ketchmark, who prosecuted Lisa. And she's a bit dubious of these, like, claims that Lisa's making about being, you know, pimped out and abused and stuff. And initially, I kind of felt away because, I don't know, when women dismiss other women's stories of abuse, like, it just makes me think, like, I don't know, like, my instinct is just, like, believe victims.
I'd rather believe somebody who's lying than not believe somebody
Someone who's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and statistics show you that, like,
women.
Believing someone, you are more likely to be right than because significantly less people lie than people who tell the truth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, if I'm gonna take that risk, that's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
But she's skeptical because this didn't come up until 12 years after the initial trial, and she describes it as a delayed disclosure of additional horrific abuse, and basically says that Lisa is the main source of the story. So how can we know that it's true if Lisa...
Who else is going to tell it?
We're only hearing this from Lisa. Yeah, but it's not as if it's corroborated by someone else.
I don't know.
Which, if we look at it objectively, I'm like, all right, cool, I hear what you're saying, but I still...
would rather
feel
believe
like
the victim.
Yeah. And then it turns out that her story of abuse was actually corroborated by her cousins. So then it's like, all right, cool, so what we say now, Roseanne?
Yeah, and either way, her sister was also raped as well.
Exactly.
So it was obviously an unsafe environment.
Exactly, she should have been removed from.
Yeah.
Because look at Diane now. Diane looks like she's thriving.
She looks like
Crazy.
She does her nightly routines and
exactly.
She eats her vegetables and
she
shit.
eats her veg. She eats good. So Lisa at this point has now been diagnosed with various mental disorders that make her delusional. We have this little tidbit where we learn that Skidmore is a Republican, white, poor part of Middle America.
Derelict, they said.
Derelict. Not derelict, Lord.
It made me happy.
Lord, not derelict.
If you lot choose to put your faith in Trump, you'll be poor.
Derelict.
And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Little lamb. Yeah, they mention all of this because it means that the people in Skidmore dismiss Lisa's mental issues as excuses, which... Okay, so Sheriff Randy says...
I think it's an insult to sexual assault survivors to imply that they're ticking time bombs and at some point they're just going to go out and do some horrendous crime. I think that's a cop-out.
And this is what we were talking about in last episode. Like, you can't say that somebody killed someone because they have XYZ mental disorders. Because that's like saying, inadvertently, everybody with these mental disorders are likely to kill or more likely to kill as a result of the mental disorder, which is not the case. Because loads of people suffer from various mental disorders and never kill anybody, ever. However, I think it's a bit irresponsible to completely dismiss a mental disorder as a factor that contributed towards your actions.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, I think it's a bit of a...
Yeah, that's the perfect way to sum it up.
Yeah, a bit of a touchy one. So we get a little bit into the death penalty. They tell us that Trump was for the death penalty, but Biden wants to abolish it. That's how you know this thing is recent. Like,
yeah, literally. Because they even address him as President-elect Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's already been elected.
And what are your thoughts on the death penalty?
You know what? I can actually say my thoughts because I'm not an American citizen, so it's not like, oh, but I go back and forth with it at times. There's the element of you're putting people to death who some of them actually haven't committed these crimes. Because as we know, like, it's human beings that do the investigating and there are all sorts of biases that lead to the prison being overpopulated by Black people. And also on the other side, I've listened to a lot of podcast. So like for those of you who are interested, Criminal Ear Hustle, and they talk a lot about just the build up to like death row and being on death row. And like people think that, oh, like if you're in prison and you're on death row, like you just are in prison and one day they call you and like, yeah, you're gonna die today. It's not like that. Sometimes you're in prison for like 40 odd years waiting to die, and then you're in death row, which is like already very isolating. Even when you do get visitors, you get there's no contact visits as well. And then the other thing that kind of tipped it over the edge for me was that when you are put to death, first of all, you could be given a date that can move. Like they were interviewing this guy and his date kept moving. Like, so there'll be a day when he'd wake up and be like, oh, today I'm going to die. And then he'd get like a stay of execution. And then the next day
they'd be like, emotionally draining. Like, just kill me already.
Literally. And sometimes like you wouldn't know that you weren't going to die till like maybe 5 minutes till the time they said you were going to die. And he said that the worst thing about being on death row that messes with you so much is that everybody on death row is like, please just kill me. Like they all are like the mental, the way it fucks with your mental, like just waiting and going back and forth. So for me, the reason why I don't like death row is why I'm not for it is because it's extremely inhumane. It's kind of like when we talk about killing like animals and stuff like that. As much as I eat meat and things like that, I wouldn't want to like torture an animal to death. Like just kill it in the most humane way so we can eat, kind of thing. And because executions aren't run like that in America, I'm not for them. And second of all, I think the whole point of the prison system was for rehabilitation and reform. You're meant to help people be better so that they can rejoin society. Like, who are we to decide that this person is so like damaged that they can never come back to society? Yeah, like what she did was fucked, but maybe like with therapy, even if she wasn't able to rejoin society the way like we do, like living a normal life, she could just work in the prison and do other things. She can't harm people if she's in prison.
So this is the thing. I have mixed feelings on it as well, because you hear some crazy cases and you're like, just leave this earth, because what are you doing here? Yeah. But I think it's important to remember that like the choice is not between the death penalty and letting them go free. Like it's the death penalty and them being in prison forever. Yeah. So it's not about, oh, they're a danger to the world, blah, de, blah, de, blah. Like, of course they are, but they can also be in prison and just die in jail. And I think a lot of the reason why people are for the death penalty is because, okay, but why are we the taxpayer paying for this person to be in prison and to stay, and to think that like you're choosing, like it for it to become a monetary conversation, like it's cheaper for us to just kill them, is a bit wild.
It's so crazy for human life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean.
It's like, I understand they've done something wrong and they deserve to be where they are, but to kill them because you don't want your money to go towards them is a bit crazy. And how about you just stop populating prisons with people who are selling weeds, and when weed is fucking legal in all these places, and then your prisons won't be overpopulated.
Literally, this was going to say, because people say, oh, like prisons are overcrowded. So, but like your prisons are overcrowded with people that are in there for like, you have black mothers in there who stole like nappies for their kids, or you have a black mum in there. Like I remember there was this woman who was arrested and she was sentenced for neglect because she left her kid in a car with the windows wound down, by the way, to go to an interview. And it's like, yeah, I understand, like that's kind of irresponsible, but then look at the circumstances that lead up to a woman doing that.
Now the kid is in foster care. And I remember there was a case of a woman who fired a warning shot in her house because her husband was beating her up or something, and she went to jail for firing a warning shot. The thing is, okay, prisons are overpopulated, but you're talking about like death row, they're not with Gen Pop, are they? No, they're not. So what is the point you're even making? So all in all, I think I'm not for it. I think.
Yeah,
I think I'm actually not for it.
I think the only time I might be like, oh, is when like you hear of some like when I like the Richard Ramirez, is that his name? Nightwalker. When I like heard of his cases and stuff like that, it's not that I was like, oh yeah, kill him, but I was like, somebody like that does not deserve to, and there was no remorse from him as well. And I just thought about the victims families, who would be seeing him living his, or knowing that he was living his life whilst their loved ones were dead. But the truth is that him dying will not bring them back. So what?
No, of course. I mean, of course, but it might make them very happy. And I do also think that like, if you're living in prison, like, is it not better that you're like actually suffering and having a shit time here
than dying? Dying is dying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a cop out. Because I don't know what punishment she got from dying. because she died or she died.
That's what I'm saying. She's wherever she is. Yeah.
So all in all, I guess we're not for it.
Yeah, I guess we're not for it.
And I just think that America's one of the last countries that still has the flipping, or am I being... I feel like there are more countries that don't have the death penalty than do.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
It
I know
wouldn't surprise
America's
me if America were one of the only ones.
I know America's like one of the only first world countries that still has
But America's weird because it's like state by state. And that's why America should literally be like 3 countries on its own.
Yeah.
Because everything is just so hickey. Like, I can kill you here and then I won't get death penalty. Or if I cross over the border, oh, now I'm liable for... Oh, but if the crime was committed across all these borders, oh, now... Like, it's too much. It's
too much. Really.
It's too much. But yeah, so it is the 5th of January, 2021, which literally was the other day. It
was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. It's been 70 years since a woman was sentenced to death. But in a week from the 5th of January to the 12th of January, she's going to be killed, right? Mm-hmm. And they make a point saying Trump has overseen more executions than any president since the 1800s. Surprise, surprise.
But also, can I just say, they say something really frightening as well. Because basically the host asks the sheriff and says to him, well, you know, since like lethal injections are becoming quite difficult, like Trump is really happy to like continue with the death penalty, even if it's by like firing squad. And she was like, are you okay with it? He was like, yeah, that's cool.
I literally looked at him sideways. Because this whole documentary, I was like, okay, this guy's actually making good points. And then it came to that bit and I was like... do you know what it is? Part of me was like, okay, cool. I guess he investigated the case. Maybe this is all a bit close. It's like if someone had killed somebody that I loved, I'm sure I would be saying, shoot that bitch up. Do you know what I mean? So it seemed like it was like, but there was nothing. It's like he was devoid of emotion and feeling. Yeah. And he literally was, because firing squad, that's how they kill niggas in Nigeria. Like, I remember my dad telling me how like back in the day when they were going to kill someone, people could just come and just like sit down and just watch somebody get killed by fire. Firing squad is a bunch of people shooting one person until that person dies.
And the person is tied up, so they can't... Well, even if you weren't tied up, even if you were running, you'd still die.
Yeah, but if you zigzag, you miss the bullets.
But yeah, you're literally tied and they just shoot.
Yeah, and they just shoot you relentlessly. Imagine how terrifying that would be.
You just have to pray one hits your head quickly.
A couple, yeah.
But I've even heard that in some cases they tell you, like, they train the people not to hit the head so the person doesn't die quickly. Like, it's so... This is what I mean. Saying that it's okay by firing
it's
squad.
Wild. Okay, but then imagine they were going to do that to Richard Ramirez.
It's still inhumane.
It is inhumane.
I feel like once you delve into... There's a level of, like, barbarianism.
Yeah, it is. It's very barbaric, yeah.
That you descend into, that it's like you are now at the level of the criminal.
Yeah, you're no better than them.
You're no better, and that's exactly what that is.
Yeah,
like he was barbaric. So for you to then do that, you are equally so.
Yeah. So now your turn. You're next.
I don't know how people even who fucking like decides they want to be an executioner.
Yeah.
Like
how does that happen?
I would never be able to scrub that blood off my hands. Like, that's crazy.
It's so wild. It's so wild, man. Yeah, that bit was wild. Yeah. So 5th of Jan, she's going to get executed in a week, which is the 12th of Jan. So now we are at the 12th of January and she's going to be executed by lethal injection. And as Fourens was saying earlier, like, these things never really go to plan. Like, there's always appeals and stays and all this stuff. So last minute appeals. So she doesn't actually get put to death that day, but she gets put to death at 1 a.m. the next morning. So the documentary is ending now, and the narrator says, like, for one America, it was justice. For the other, it was horrifying. Yeah, I mean, I think especially in the situation where you can really attribute some of her decision making to past traumas and childhood traumas and abuse and stuff. Like I said, that's not a reason to do what you did, and you were certainly in some kind of right mind to be able to execute what you did.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit, you can't just ignore that life was shit for you. Like, if you had been dealt better cards, like, you may have done the same thing, but you also may not have.
And also, I feel like in this particular case as well, you have a really bad cocktail, and let's not be reductive. Like, I guess, yeah, like, let's not say the second you have a mental health issue, like, or illness, you're gonna kill people. But when you have mental health mixed with, like, sexual assault,
trauma,
then you have a very dangerous kind of cocktail. And it's the same thing with, like, if you have, like, a mental health illness and you mix it with drugs kind of thing, it's all a bad cocktail. So I don't think, and it's not saying sexual, I mean, we do know that, like, statistically, a lot of people who become sexual predators or abusers are people who've been abused themselves kind of thing. But it's also not to say, it just means that you have the gateway has been opened to you, whereas somebody who hasn't experienced that probably hasn't had that gateway open.
It's going to be harder, because it's both ways. Like, some people have great childhood, happy life, and do your madness. Some people, terrible childhood, and live their best life. Sans murder. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's difficult. But we didn't really get into, well, this documentary wasn't really about the case itself, so we didn't really get into that. Did you do a bit of googs on the case?
I did a googs, I
Come
love
on,
googs.
info. Let me even recline. Let me put my electric blanket back on. Hold on.
Ooh, okay, get warm and snuggled up.
Honestly, it was getting too hot before. All right then, go on, I'm ready.
Yeah, so with this case, the actual case itself, Lisa had been monitoring or stalking, I don't know, Bobby Joe. And Bobby Joe sells dogs or sold dogs. So Lisa posed as a
potential
customer
buyer
and came to quote unquote buy dogs. And she'd been studying, like, cesareans, and then she cut the baby out of her. So the reason how they found her actually was tracing kind of the emails and things like that, to find out, which who had been, whatever.
Who was coming to see her,
Exactly. So the reason behind Lisa doing this, Lisa's actually got 4 kids of her own. Yeah. She'd been married 2 or 3 times. And the last husband was going to take all her kids from her because she had, he felt like she was lying about being pregnant. So she'd gotten her tubes tied, and she came back to doctors twice saying she was pregnant, and they're like, you're not fucking pregnant, like, your tubes are literally tied. Like, just this is
impossible.
just to show you the kind of woman she was. Kind of. So the final time she said she was pregnant to get the husband to stay, I guess, and he left, and he was like, okay, like, produce the baby if you're really pregnant. So she was getting desperate because she needed to produce a child to be like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And that is literally why she cut the baby, because if the husband said if she doesn't produce a kid, or if she's not pregnant, if she's lying about this pregnancy, he's going to tell the courts and, like, have full custody of her kids. So she, out of desperation, went and whatever. And it was a really interesting case.
Dumb reason.
Fam, it was a really
Bobby Joe Stinnett is dead, and that child was never born because you lied about being pregnant.
You could have even kidnapped a baby without killing anyone. I mean, it doesn't make anything better.
Yeah, exactly. But then the baby could have then been reunited with...
Yeah. So it turns out this was a really interesting case because this is the first time, I think, in the state of Wisconsin that they'd ever done an Amber Alert for an unborn fetus. Because when the mom
Missouri.
Missouri, not Wisconsin. When the mom walked into her daughter's house, she called the ambulance, and what she actually said to them is, my daughter's stomach has exploded. Because of the sight she saw she was like, her stomach's exploded, like, what the hell has happened? She couldn't compute that the kid wasn't there. So obviously it was after they pronounced the girl dead, and she was like, no, like, she's actually had a cesarean, like, where is the baby? That's when they started looking for the kid. And then they had to, like, they had to get the state governor to approve an Amber Alert, because you can't put an Amber Alert for something that doesn't really exist. Essentially. So they did that. And then between the Amber Alert, looking at the computer records, that's how they found out, that traced it to Lisa, and then went to the house. And apparently when they got to the house, Lisa was, like, cradling the baby and watching the, like, Amber Alert on TV. And, like, she confessed to everything. Like,
how can she not
exist? Yeah, because DNA confirmed that the baby was Bobby Joe's. Because, like, she was trying to say that Nas her baby, and then she confessed.
That's wild.
It's so crazy. I thought that when I first had this case, I thought maybe, like, Lisa was, like, a deranged woman who couldn't have a baby.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
not that you've got 4 of your own and you cut this child out of its mother just to like
23 years old. Oh,
fam.
This world, yeah, sometimes like I actually just want to go under my covers and not come out. Like I actually just want to go under my covers and just bring a snack and just never come out. Because
it's descending into chaos. How can you cut the child out of the mother? Like how? We are not safe in any shape or form in this life. When I am pregnant,
wild. I'm not going anywhere.
My husband has to carry me on his head everywhere he goes.
And around the house because I'm not leaving.
Fam.
I'm not even going to post if I'm pregnant. You'll just see me with a 10-year-old one day because I cannot. That is so wild.
Yeah. And it's even worse. Like, it's more disturbing that she preyed on her. It wasn't just like, oh, you saw this pregnant woman and you went and cut her baby.
Followed her home,
You knew she was pregnant, you knew she sold dogs. You really were like, how can I get in contact?
That's what I'm saying. This is premeditation to the highest degree.
Say no Chris Watts, bitch.
Honestly. Well, it's debatable.
Yeah, so that was that.
Yeah,
someone needs to rap, lighten up the mood, please.
Honestly. Microphone check 1 2. What is this? The 5-foot assassin with the roughneck business. I float like gravity.
Anyone but
Never
you?
had a
Ask JJ Fish, you there? Anyone?
Something about you, girl. I love Ice JJ Fish. Whew.
What are we doing next? What are we doing next?
Oh, we're doing... Hold on, I have it tab open because I forgot what it was called.
I don't even remember.
We have the man who used HIV as a weapon.
Okay, cool.
Which is, again, horrifying. Gosh, we need to start doing some sex documentaries because those are always great vibes.
Somebody was literally like... Somebody tweeted the other day and they were like, why don't we... Like, you can untie... Like, if you get your... What's the sperm? The snip. Men.
Oh, yeah. Snip, snap.
Oh. If you get a vasectomy, you can actually get it reversed quite easily.
Yeah.
Some girl was like, why don't all guys when they hit puberty get vasectomies? If they prove to be responsible and not fucking crazy,
or not even that, don't let them prove anything. When they're ready to have children, then they undo it.
Yeah,
it's so funny because I was watching this video about like women sharing their contraceptive stories, and there were just so many horror stories. It's like, okay, you don't want to get pregnant, there's issues there. You get pregnant, there's issues there. You have a kid, there's issues there. When are there no issues?
And literally, there was this, somebody tweeted as well, and they were just like, a man can literally impregnate X amount of women in a year.
However many.
Yeah, it will take a woman
you
at
only
least
be pregnant
2 years,
once a year. Yeah.
Literally, to have 2 babies. So why is contraception focused on women when men are the ones who can spread their seed? Literally, a man can impregnate over 100 women in a year.
Yeah, you can do one a day if you liked.
Literally,
multiple a day.
Literally,
just depends how ambitious he is.
Why is and it's just sexism to the. Why do I have to pump my body full of like hormones and shit
and foreign
then
objects?
Worry about if I'm gonna have issues getting pregnant when I want to get pregnant and my moods and my body changing. And men just get to like have their dick out anyhow they want, shooting up the clubs. Look at Future. Look at flipping, and it looks like flipping Nick Cannon is trying to compete with Future.
Who's
now.
That one? That's 21 that has 7 kids.
That's
one of them
Floyd
young
Mayweather's.
rappers.
Oh no,
daughter's baby daddy, not baby daddy, boyfriend.
He has kids. No, I think Young Thug
One's
as well
got
has
7.
a lot of kids.
Who?
Young Thug has a lot of kids as well.
Yeah, that's not who I'm thinking of though. One's like, I think he's 21 and he's got 7 kids. That's more than enough.
That's enough for life.
For 2 lives.
Yeah. Oh, guys. Someone rap, please, because...
I did. You told me not to.
And someone but you. Ask JJ Fish, holler at us, rap.
Girl, bye. Ask JJ Fish is a singer, okay? He sings.
Okay.
But yeah, guys, I want to play the trailer for you now for what is the name of the documentary?
The man who used his penis? No, his...
The man who used HIV as a weapon. So yes.
By his penis.
You were correct. Yeah. So where can they find us? They can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at 2 Girls 1 Doc.
Yeah.
And also on Clubhouse, actually. We're on Clubhouse now.
We're on Clubhouse. We don't have a room yet, but... We do Clubhouses, so if you just
hopefully
follow us
before they start charging.
Yeah, if you follow us on either Twitter or Instagram, you'll be able to be up to date as to when we're doing the rooms.
Exactly. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at BDOnEyewear, and also BDOnEyewear.com. And where can we find you?
On Twitter.
Besides at the end of the aisle.
On Twitter and Instagram at Fourens with 2 underscores. And oh my gosh, yes, I have another podcast, Character Replay. Episode is out. First 2 episodes are out. So make sure you listen to that. And yeah, just if you can't get enough of me, GC style, then listen to that. Yeah.
All right, boys and girls, thanks so much for listening. If you are listening on Apple, if you could rate us 5 stars and leave a review, and we will see you in the next episode.
And share with your friends.
And your loved ones. And the ones
and your
you
lover.
hate. And your lover. Wink, wink.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Daryl Rowe arriving at court this morning, ready to take the stand for the first time.
A nasty, angry individual who carried out a cynical campaign.
He deliberately infected his gay lovers with HIV and then...
Daryl Rowe taunted and abused his partners after passing on the virus.
In 2018, Daryl Rowe hit the headlines as the first person in the UK to be jailed for deliberately infecting men with HIV.
It is an extraordinary case. Did we learn any more about Rowe's motive?
No, we didn't. That remains a mystery to everybody except for Daryl Rowe himself.
The media attention had all been on Daryl Rowe, but I wanted to find out more about the men he'd abused and tell their stories. These 5 men agreed to speak publicly for the first time on camera. What does the name Daryl Rowe mean to you?
Quite sad, bit twisted, but actually quite devious.
Kinda means regrets, embarrassment, nervousness.
It just means someone evil.
When I met the men, they all had the same question: why? This is their story, and my attempt to get them some answers.
Hi, Daryl. How you doing?
I'm alright.
Listen, I've got Charlotte here.
Right.
And she wants to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
We've got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, we've got 10 minutes.
I'm just going to go straight into it then, Daryl, because I think that's probably the easiest way.
Sure. Okay, fine.
So
Can I just
today...
say,
Okay.
Speaking of eye transfer, I just need to say this.
Please
My
say.
sister donated her whole body, you know.
Oh, you should do organ donation.
She
Yeah, you can
donated
donate your eyes
everything
as well, yeah.
except her eyes.
Except
and
her eyes.
she's been panicking about this for years now. She keeps saying that she needs to go back and
What,
just do
donate her
organs.
eyes?
No, she wants to she says, oh no, her kids, she said that at first when she did it, she was like, oh, I'm going to be an old lady when I die. I don't need an open casket. But then she's like, oh, what if she dies young and then all that will be there, her eyes.
They stuff your body.
No,
they take
but
the organs and they stuff your body.
She donated everything but her eyes.
Oh, so her body to science.
Yes. So, so the casket will just be 2 eyes. Have you ever seen anybody so stupid in their life, please? I was like,
so why does it? Hold on. Why does she even? Why does she keep the eyes then? Because
I don't know.
She might as well just giving everything.
And I was like, eyes are the windows to the soul. So all we're going to be seeing is that you had no soul. Literally, I was like, your kids going to be crying like, Auntie, my mum has nothing. I was like, listen, y'all just put the eyes in there and close it.
Close it. At least you won't need a whole coffin. You just need a little box.
A little box.
A little ring box.
Oh, can you imagine if she got... Listen, anyways, I just thought I'd drop that tidbit in since we're talking about eyes. But yeah.
Lord help us.